Gadget's field trip.
We're going on a visit.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Come on, let's go with him.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
What's that, you ask? What is it?
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Well, no one wants to miss it.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
We're going on a visit.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Come on, let's go with him.
New places, new faces. Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Inspector Gadget here in merry old London, England. I'm on the case with history, mystery, and fun. Wowzers! Now for a sneak investigation of our field trip. Let's take a gadget eye view of some of the things that we'll be seeing. Look at all those trench coats. I wondered what the airline did with my lost luggage. Where exactly is London? I'll need one of my ingenious gadgets to find our location. Go, go, Gadget Globe! Just as I suspected, London is the capital of Great Britain. And according to my bionic brain, Great Britain is actually 4 countries ruled by one government. England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. To test your alertness, Great Britain is also called the United Kingdom. Would you believe 10,000 years ago, cavemen were living right here in London? 9,000 years later, people were living in houses and castles. Queens and kings still live in castles and palaces today. Look at the hat on that caveman. Ah, wait, those aren't cavemen. Those are gods protecting the royalty of the United Kingdom. Kingdom. It's not polite to call a king dumb. Oh, wait. According to my Gadget dictionary, a kingdom is a state or government having a king or queen at its head. A kingdom is also called a monarchy. For centuries, kings and queens were the supreme rulers over what is now Great Britain. Later, we'll find out who the big cheese is now. The Tower of London is one of Great Britain's most famous castles. It was a royal palace and a prison. Some say the tower is still haunted. Does the phrase "off with their heads" sound familiar? I'd better investigate. Go, go, Gadget Copter! Just as I suspected, the Tower of London is actually 16 towers altogether. The oldest one is from the year 1066. 38 guards called yeoman warders stand watch over the tower. They're nicknamed Beefeaters. Why, you ask? Some say it's because the kings used to feed them scraps of chicken. Or was it beef? This tower used to be a royal palace where kings and queens ruled and lived. It's also where they imprisoned and killed their enemies. For the last 600 years, the royal family has kept the crown jewels at the Tower of London, except when the jewels are being worn for special occasions. Wowzers! The imperial state crown has so many diamonds, sapphires, and rubies, it weighs 5 pounds. And look, a baseball bat. Oh, it's actually a royal scepter. A staff always carried in the right hand. It holds the world's largest diamond, called the Star of Africa. Would you believe 530 carats? Wowzers! That's a big salad. Rock. Speaking of salads, long ago the chopping block got a lot of use here at the tower. Back in the 16th century, Henry VIII was king. He was famous for his large appetite, his larger waistline, and king-size armor. Henry also had 6 wives. He thought one of his wives, Anne Boleyn, was unfaithful to him, so he brought her to the tower and had her killed. Wowzers! And I thought it was bad being sent to your room. Prisoners were brought into the tower through Traitor's Gate. Some were locked away inside here, the Bloody Tower, and then murdered. For over 900 years, ravens have also guarded the tower. 8 of them at a time. Legend has it that if they ever fly away, the Tower of London will crumble and the kingdom will fall. So don't go ravens. Some ravens live to be 40 years old. They have names like Larry, Charlie, Cedric, and Jackie. Their diet is 6 ounces of raw beef every day. So, the ravens are beef eaters too. Wowzers! Over there is the world-famous Tower Bridge over the River Thames. Many people think it's the London Bridge. So where is the London Bridge? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. You don't have to be grown up to be king or queen. Some of England's youngest rulers were Henry III, 9 years old, Edward V, 12 years old, Lady Jane Grey, 16 years old. She was beheaded after being queen for just 9 days. We can see London lots of different ways. By car. Hey, watch out! Look right! I mean look left. They drive on the left side of the street here. We can travel by taxicab, by double-decker bus, or by the London Underground called the Tube. There's something you don't see every day, unless you live in London. It's Harrods, the largest store in the world. It's as big as 15 soccer fields, 300 departments. Unfortunately, none of them carry bionic gadgets. Up ahead is Hamley's. Let's run in. The world's largest toy store. Millions of dolls, trains, marbles, stuffed animals, and gadgets. What's that across the river? A toy clock? No, that's Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament. Go, go, Gadget car! My impeccable instincts tell me that, contrary to popular belief, Big Ben is not the name of the enormous clock tower. Big Ben is actually the name of the 13.5-ton bell that rings each hour. When you weigh 13.5 tons, you can be named anything you want. Big Ben and the 4 smaller bells can be heard 20 miles away on a windy day. The clock's real name is the Great Westminster Clock. It's the largest, most powerful, and most accurate public clock in the world. This clock was made in 1858, before most people had wristwatches. It's a bit too big to fit into a pocket. The minute hands are 14 feet long. That's longer than 3 Gadget cars. There's 1 foot between each minute. It works like a huge cuckoo clock. A 13-foot pendulum swings every 2 seconds. Its movement is regulated by the weight of a stack of pennies. If just 1 penny falls, the clock timing will be wrong. Clocks around the world depend on Big Ben for accuracy. Take 334 steps down from the top of Big Ben, and you'll be at the Houses of Parliament, with 1,100 rooms, 100 staircases, and 2 miles of hallways. This is the center of Great Britain's government. Those hallways can seem long when you're looking for a restroom. And these are members of Parliament having a normal, civilized chat. There are 2 main houses of Parliament. One is the House of Commons. Members are elected by the British citizens, and they sit in a green room. The other House of Parliament is the House of Lords. Some lords are appointed by the Queen. Others inherit their position. Their room is royal red. The leader of the whole government is called the Prime Minister. Nowadays, queens and kings don't have a lot of power. You could say they are symbols of Britain's royal past. And now for your official royal quiz. How tall is the world's tallest man? 8 feet 11 inches. Wowzers! This is a replica of Robert Pershing Wadlow at London's Guinness World of Records. You can experience the extraordinary here. Stand next to the smallest, the heaviest, even the woman with the world's longest neck. Wait a minute. Hers is the second longest neck. But I guess bionic doesn't count. Inspector Gadget here in front of Buckingham Palace, the royal family's main home. Big ceremony called the Changing of the Guard takes place here every morning, but it's impossible to see over this crowd. Go, go, Gadget video camera! Much better. Wowzers! Look at the way those guards march in line. Those tall hats used to be made of bearskin. Today, they're made from man-made material. The bears are much happier about that. Out with the old guard and in with the new. Let's investigate what's behind those gates. Buckingham Palace, for the royalty who has everything. 661 rooms and 78 toilets. Throne chairs, crystal chandeliers, even a hidden door behind a golden mirror. Why, this place is a palace. A road called Pall Mall connects Buckingham Palace to Trafalgar Square, the center of the city. Thousands of pigeons come here, and they sit on everything. That's what pigeons do best. I wonder if there's a pigeon on top of this 175-foot column. Go, go, Gadget neck. That's no pigeon. It's Lord Nelson. He took his first voyage with the English Navy when he was 12 years old. Later, he led England to victory over France and Napoleon in the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. The River Thames is one of Europe's most important waterways. It runs right through the heart of London. Just down the river is a huge palace called Hampton Court. Lots of royalty lived here over the years, including enormous King Henry VIII. By the size of this kitchen, it looks like Henry ate pretty well. Lots of Yorkshire pudding. The walls are decorated with old weapons and armor. This must be the old royal bedrooms. Wowzers! Now that's a king-size bed. I could really stretch out my Gadget legs on that. The royal loo is even covered in royal red velvet. A loo is the British term for, well, you take a guess. Henry VIII built one of the world's largest mazes out of hedges at Hampton Court. It was a great way to get rid of unwanted guests. Watch them get lost. Test your alertness. Can you figure the way out? you make your way out of the maze, you may get to London Bridge. Is it falling down? Well, it has a few times. London Bridge is right next door to the Tower Bridge, but it's not the original one. One version of the bridge was taken apart and shipped to the United States to Lake Havasu, Arizona, where it was put back together again, stone by stone. It's still there today. Piccadilly Circus is where the action is in London. All night and all day, Piccadilly Circus is jumping. In the 1600s, men strolled around in ruffly shirts called piccadilles. Circus is the Old English word for a really big intersection. That's where they got the name Piccadilly Circus. Wowzers, it was dark in there. Inspector Gadget here in front of the Imperial War Museum. A very curious place. In fact, London museums are curiouser and curiouser. Let's start with this one. Go, go, Gadget Copter! Great Britain fought in lots of wars. You can see airplanes, tanks, even one-man submarines on display here. Go inside a sub and down into the trenches with figures of real soldiers.
All right, let's get in and out of there as quickly as we can.
And speaking of figures, take a look at these in Madame Tussauds' famous wax museum. How many can you recognize? Go, go, Madame Tussauds! Years ago, Madame Tussauds sculpted life-size figures out of wax. They're still doing it today, head by head, eye by eye, finger by finger, one hair at a time. Perhaps the old inspector will be there one day. Time to investigate more London treasures. The British Museum has an incredible exhibit of all kinds of Egyptian mummies, up to 3,000 years old. Unwrapped and brittle, painted with gold, mummies of young people, even cat mummies. But where are the daddies? This colossal granite statue of Egyptian King Ramses II dates back to 1250 BC. Back then, kings were called pharaohs. This is an ancient man. He's been preserved in this position since 3250 BC. Bet his joints are stiff. We're off to my favorite museum at 221B Baker Street. The address Sir Arthur Conan Doyle gave to his fictional character, world-famous detective and my hero, Sherlock Holmes. It's Sherlock's make-believe home. There's his imaginary pipe, his hat, and his magnifying glass. Those look like the tools you use to solve hundreds of crimes, just like my gadgets. Looks like bedtime for the detective. Sherlock Holmes was make-believe, but London's real-life detectives began here in 1829 at Scotland Yard. A few years later, they moved down the road to New Scotland Yard. And today, here's the newest Scotland Yard. Sir Robert Peel, whose nickname was Bobby, created this police force. That's why British police officers are called Roberts, Bobbies. There are some basic qualifications for becoming a London Bobby. Go, Gadget badge. You must have good eyesight, you must be a British citizen of good character, and you must be able to swim 100 meters or 110 yards, preferably in water. Well, I think that concludes our first investigation of London. I had a terrific time on our field trip, visiting Big Ben, the Tower of London, Buckingham Palace. Wowzers! I hope you learned a lot and had a good time, too. Until we meet again on our next field trip, so long. And don't forget to rotate your gears every 3,000 miles. Go, Gadget field trip.
D.